Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is about transition. Transitions are an inevitable part of life, that no matter what's going on, we always have transitions. And that can be something from day to day, easy kinds of things like waking up in the morning, changing from the sleeping mode to the wakeful mode. And as our day goes on, right? Maybe you can think through your day. You have your cup of coffee in the morning, or your cup of tea, or maybe not that. Maybe you do your exercise. You have some kind of morning routine you go through, and then as the day goes on, we transition from maybe feeling sleepy in the morning to wakeful at a certain other point in time in the morning to feeling more sleepy and then going to bed. And so each day has its own arc of transition, and each moment has its own arc of transition. And that's what we'll use today as our meditation, is the focus on the transitions in breathing. So even physiologically, breathing in and breathing out have different effects on the body. Breathing in is, and research has shown, is more in line with the sympathetic nervous system, where breathing out is more in line with the parasympathetic nervous system. So you can even notice the difference in how you feel. So, right, like meaning the sympathetic nervous system is associated with the fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest response. So that even in breathing in and breathing out, you can feel that there is a transition between those two. And each moment of breathing in, as the body's changing, you can feel that transition as well. So small transitions are happening all of the time. And we can use those small transitions as practice for some of the bigger ones. And so that's another inevitable part of life, is that we have bigger transitions. And I know I've actually talked about this topic relatively recently, but it's just come back into my mind because we've, because of losing Dirk. Dirk, our member that I'm going to talk more about next time. It's just brought this process of grief back, and to remember that grief is a process of transition as well, as challenging as it can be. And mindfulness is one of those tools that we can use to be aware of the emotions that we're having, and that can help to keep us from pushing those emotions away. And being aware and being accepting helps to pave the road for the natural process of healing that we need to go through whatever grieving we might go through, or just life transitions in general. Life transitions can be moving house, can be having children, can be getting married, getting divorced. So lots of bigger transitions can happen within life, and mindfulness can help us to not avoid or deny what's happening in the moment. That we can really roll out the red carpet to welcome the guest that's here now. And so, the guest house is a reminder of the transitions, and that this is part of our growth. And the transitions are the space, or are rich spaces for us to cultivate our own growth as human beings. So, can you see the transition maybe in that light, instead of being scared of it, being scared of change, and and to welcome these transitions as they go, and to know that they are not permanent. So the grieving process, and I can even think about my grieving process for Dirk, is that it was a bit sharper last week, and as time has gone on, I've begun to accept it, and again, these are perhaps smaller transitions in that, there are people in my life that there is going to be bigger grief when I have to let go of that person. And so, this is practice for maybe the bigger letting goes. And so one thing that really came to me this morning as I was sitting down and thinking about this topic is that I really want to read again the parable of the trapeze, which is something I think is really great to hear for anyone that's going through transition. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it. I think I'm going to make it as a recording here soon. I have a list of things that I want to make as recordings to upload to Insight Timer. So this is one of them. I think this is a really great one to revisit from time to time. So the author is Danon Perry. It's from a book called Warriors of the Heart. So this is also called Turning the Fear of Transformation into the Transformation of Fear by Danon Perry. Sometimes I feel that my life is a series of trapeze swings. I'm either hanging on to a trapeze bar or swinging along for a few moments in my life. I'm hurtling across space between trapeze bars. Most of the time I spend my life hanging on for dear life to my trapeze bar of the moment. It carries me along at a certain steady rate of swing, and I have the feeling that I'm in control of my life. I know most of the right questions and even some of the answers. But every once in a while, as I'm merrily or not so merrily swinging along, I look out ahead of me into the distance, and what do I see? I see another trapeze bar swinging toward me. It's empty, and I know, in that place in me that knows, that this new trapeze bar has my name on it. It is my next step, my growth, my aliveness coming to get me. In my heart of hearts, I know that for me to grow, I must release my grip on this present well-known bar and move to the new one. Each time it happens to me, I hope, no, I pray, that I won't have to let go of my old bar completely before I grab onto the new one. But in my knowing place, I know that I must totally release my grasp on my old bar, and for some moment in time, I must hurtle across the space before I can grab onto the new bar. Each time, I'm filled with terror. It doesn't matter that all my previous hurdles across the void of unknowing, I've always made it. I am each time afraid that I will miss, that I will be crushed on unseen rocks in the bottomless chasm between bars. I do it anyway. Perhaps this is the essence of what the mystics call the faith experience. No guarantees, no net, no insurance policy, but you do it anyway because somehow to keep hanging on to that old bar is no longer on the list of alternatives. So, for an eternity that can last a microsecond or 1,000 lifetimes, I soar across the dark void of the past is gone, the future is not yet here. It is called transition. I have come to believe that this transition is the only place that real change occurs. I mean real change, not the pseudo change that only lasts until the next time my old buttons get punched. I've noticed that in our culture, this transition zone is looked upon as a no thing, a no place between places. Sure, that old trapeze bar was real, and that new one coming toward me, well, I hope that's real too. But the void in between, that's just a scary, confusing, disorienting nowhere that must be gotten through as fast as and unconsciously as possible? No. What a wasted opportunity that would be. I have a sneaking suspicion that the transition zone is the only real thing, and that the bars are illusions we dream up to avoid the void where the real change, the real growth occurs for us. Whether or not my hunch is true, it remains that the transition zones in our lives are incredibly rich places. They should be honored, even savored. Yes, with all the pain and fear and feelings of being out of control that can, but not necessarily do, accompany transitions. They are still the most alive, most growth-filled, passionate, expansive moments of our lives. We cannot discover new oceans unless we have the courage to lose sight of the shore. So, transformation of fear may have nothing to do with making fear go away, but rather giving ourselves permission to hang out in the transition between trapezes. Transforming our need to grab that new bar, any bar, is allowing ourselves to dwell in the only place where real change happens. It can be terrifying. It can also be enlightening in the true sense of the word. Hurtling through the void, we might just learn how to fly. Okay, let's go ahead and get into our practice. So get comfortable. Find a posture that's going to be supportive of you, of your practice, of your time of meditation. So note the transition from listening to meditation. I encourage you to sit up straight and tall. Allow the face to relax, so tuning into what the face feels like. So seeing if you can, through noticing any tension that you may have in the face, to allow that tension to go away, if that's possible. Of course, for some of us, it won't be. That tension wants to hang around and we can't make it go away, and that's okay. Bringing attention to the shoulders, the trapezius muscles. Maybe if you like, if you notice some tension there, you can intentionally roll the shoulders a few times. Move the head side to side. And as I do that, as I do those simple movements, I already notice a change in the feeling of my breath. So releasing the tension. I can feel some sensation of release in my breath, and that may or may not happen for you. So I'm just kind of narrating what's going on for me, because for sometimes that resonates. Some people experience the same things that we do as we do our meditation. So I'm paying attention to the muscles in my back, and those feel relatively relaxed. So I pay attention to the chest. I can feel the slight movement as I breathe. And then as I bring my attention to the abdomen, I can feel this relatively large movement of my belly outwards as I breathe in, inwards as I breathe out. It's almost like there's a little balloon inside of my belly that's inflating when I breathe in and deflating when I breathe out. So you can pay attention to your breath in any place that it feels obvious. Today I'll be paying attention to my belly. I find that to remain concentrated, sometimes it's helpful to choose a point to try to focus the concentration on, focus the attention on. So I tend to use this point about 2 finger spaces above my navel. And see if I can be aware where that point is as I'm breathing. So notice where it is in relation to the spine, so it's moving away from the spine as I breathe in, towards the spine as I breathe out. And from time to time, despite your best efforts, you'll discover that your focus and concentration on that point is gone. You've wandered away, you're thinking about something else. Recognize this is, well, first, be kind to yourself. This is normal. This is what happens when we're meditating. It's hard to stay focused. Gently escort your mind back. Back to that point. Back to breathing in and breathing out. And recognize that as a transition. So the transition of being focused and meditating and not being focused and meditating. And then refocusing. What's it feel like? What's it feel like when I'm focused? What's it feel like when my mind's wandering? Can you notice the difference? What does the inhalation feel like? What does the exhalation feel like? Practicing being aware of the state of mind moment by moment is really one of the, if not the key benefit of our mindfulness practice. So that when we transition out of our period of practice and we move into the period of the rest of our lives, we notice these subtle differences. We feel our emotions as they change, as they transition. Which gives us gives us the wisdom, the skill to start to change our harmful behavior before it's too out of control for us to do anything about. So focus on the transitions, focus on the subtle sensations, focus on the subtle changing of emotions, the changing of thoughts. So slightly broadening the awareness. So let's see if we can broaden our awareness farther. Bring awareness to the entire body. Noticing that you can feel the breathing in the body more than just in the abdomen. And then you can expand your awareness to sounds. What do you hear? So is it possible to have awareness of the body, awareness of the breath, awareness of sounds in the room? Awareness of your thoughts, your emotions, your mental and emotional state. And use this open awareness to observe the transition from this moment to the next, to the next, to the next. And now the time has come to draw our practice to its close. So I'd encourage you to shift your attention to your ears, to the sounds as I ring the bell. Listen for the sound of the bell and see if you can notice the moment when the sound of the bell is no longer present. And use that moment to begin to transition out of your period of practice. Okay. Thank you for practicing with me today. Maybe thank yourself for having made this time for yourself to cultivate your mindfulness, and your ability to be aware moment by moment to what it is that's going on in your life, so that you can more skillfully navigate these periods of transition. Thank you, Jean. So how'd it go today? Any questions or comments about transitions, about your practice? And I'd say when I was meditating, something popped into my mind was that I discovered that Dirk had recently gone through. I have a few hundred. I used to put the recordings on Instagram. They're on the recordings of these daily practices are on YouTube now. But I used to have them on Instagram before that, and so they're still there. I haven't transitioned them over. I haven't like recorded them over or moved them to YouTube yet. And I just noticed that Dirk watched a bunch of those in kind of his last weeks, and he would write. I mean, the way I know is he'd comment on some of them. Maybe they would be like years old, and I'd see these little comments from Dirk, and it was nice because then I got to watch some of my old videos again to see like my son when he's there was some of those videos was like on my son's birthday he came and joined me on one of my live practices. I mean, maybe some of you were around then and remember that. But like as I watched that video, I'm like, wow, it's he's a lot younger, and just kind of special to see some of those old videos again. And it's thanks to Dirk watching them again kind of helped me to find them and to watch them again too. So Jean says, I notice I've been having a hard time getting to our daily practice knowing that Dirk will not be there. Thanks for sharing, Jean. And yeah, you know what? It's funny you mention that because, I feel like the YouTube videos was really Dirk was a big motivator for me to make those videos, and I honestly don't feel I'm not as motivated to upload the recordings of these live events to YouTube anymore, because I know he's not there. Like he's there, he was there to. I mean, he was one of my motivators because my English speaking and translates instantly to Flemish for him, right? Makes it easier. Um, but I mean, I'm still doing it, of course, but I just notice it's more of a slog, right? It's not as I'm not as motivated to do it. It's like the empty chair at the table, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I miss him a lot. I'll what I'm gonna do for next time is I'm gonna read through some of the old emails that I have from him and share some of that with you, and also share some of the little personal details about his life that that you may not have known, that I think he'd be comfortable. I'm not. Of course, I won't share everything. The things that he might not be comfortable with, but there are some things about him you probably don't know that I'll share with you next time as we dedicate some time to him. And yeah, he was a real um, really help motivate me to come here each time. And I think I don't think he knew it as well. I don't think he knew how motivating he was for me and for some of you. Um, you know, I don't know. Anyway, I'll talk about that next time. Uh, and Gene says, I know he would be the first to bring the principles of mindfulness into this time of transition. He was a true and supportive friend. Yeah, so we'll talk about next time that's what I'm planning to do. So it won't be like a normal topic. And we're gonna talk about transition or mindfulness posture or impermanence or any of that stuff. We'll talk about our friend Dirk and or Dirk, as we would probably pronounce in Flemish. Uh, so look forward to that. So I'll see you in about 48 hours. It's like, thanks for helping me with my more proper pronunciation. I'm sure it's still not perfect. So do take care. Have a lovely day or evening as you transition out of this time of watching me on Insight Timer and going to do whatever it is that you're going to do next. Let's send our well wishes out to each other. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all life on this planet, around the universe, wherever it is, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks, everyone. See you again soon. Bye-bye.